Hey, how you doing? I'm Tyler Manis, and today we're going to talk about how Norse mythology uses epic tales through the use of Yggdrasil, the Nine Realms, monsters, and creatures to explain the history of the world from its creation to its destruction. First up, we're going to talk about the world tree, Yggdrasil. Oh boy, it connects almost everything in Norse mythology. All the nine realms. It uses the Bifrost, which is a teleportation between all of the realms, and it houses many creatures. And you can see here the Dane, the Divine, the Fordenfolnir, and the Great Eagle. But we'll go into that in a little bit. The actual tree is centered on Midgard, which is technically the world for mortal men. And down at the roots, this is one of the creatures I was talking about, is Nidogr. He's a serpent. He's depicted as a serpent, sometimes a dragon. And what he does is he gnaws at the roots of the world tree. And you might think to yourself, well, if all he does is gnaw at a world tree, how does he sustain himself? Well, answer to that is that most of the time when people die in Norse mythology, they'll either go to hell, Valhalla, or they may fall into the roots of the world tree where he actually eats the corpses to, sustain himself. And the other creature that I was talking about, Retatoskr, is the messenger between this serpent and the other creatures in the world tree. Retatoskr is mostly known for being mischievous and the messenger of the gods and beings in the world tree. You can see him at lightning speeds going up and down this world tree. I mean, you can't, but the inhabitants of this tree. He's very mischievous, like I said before. And oftentimes he'll bend the truth a little bit to sometimes plot against the world tree in Asgard. And the one that he goes up to is Vedfulnir. I don't know if it's he or not, but it's basically a hawk that sits upon a great eagle. No one really knows the name of this great eagle, but what happens is that Vedfulnir will venture out into the world. He'll venture out into the world and learn, gain knowledge and wisdom. And when he comes back, he sits back on top of this great eagle, as you can see here, and he waits the messages for Retatoskr and talks and bickers back and forth between Nidogr and himself. So, the Nine Realms. A lot to cover, but little short time span that we have. Asgard, Midgard, all the way down to Hell. Those are the majors. And all the offshoots you can see is Vanaheim, Jotunheim, Niflheim, and Muspelheim. Basically, Jotunheim is the home of all the giants. That's where they originated from. Niflheim is oftentimes depicted as a paradise. You'll see in Helheim is actually where most of the souls that don't succeed in battle will go to. So here we have Sleipnir. Very interesting story of how this being came to be. There was actually a great stallion that Loki was tasked to distract, and they kind of went away for a little while, and things happened, which made Sleipnir. The Kraken. Against popular belief, the Kraken actually originates from Germanic mythology, and they speak of the Kraken swallowing ships whole and things like this, and you can see it's actually Loki as the one that's setting these things loose, making these things happen. He actually spins more tales and creates more stories than what he actually is. He's got 3 children, and one of them being actually Sleipnir, which doesn't actually get told a lot. So here we got Fenrir, Jormungandr, and actually Hel herself, the one that's in Helheim. He's the one who created all this. We got the World Serpent, we got Fenrir, the Brave, and Hel, which is actually depicted sometimes as his sister, but it's kind of touchy. So Fenrir is one of like the greatest, biggest wolves out there, and he is known for being strong and brave and very ferocious. A lot of people, a lot of gods were scared of him. So what they did is, since they were so scared of him, they actually wanted to chain him down. They succeeded one time. They said, "Ha, you can't break these chains. Here, try them on." And so he's like, "I can break the chains." He breaks the chains. Second time, they're super scared. They make the dwarves make this little thin ribbon. Fenrir's like, "I'm not going to break that." Eventually, they get it on him, and he can't break it. And we have Tyr here, who's actually works hand in hand with this story, because Tyr is also the brave, and he gets to put his hand in Fenrir's mouth while Fenrir is in the chains. And as you can see, he loses his hand because they tricked him. They tricked Fenrir, and so he took Tyr's hand. And Tyr and all the other gods sort of worked against him and tricked him to where they trapped him the second time, like I said. And Tyr puts his sword in his mouth so that he can't bite or break free of his chains. Ultimately, all these stories lead down to one thing: creation, all the way down to Ragnarok, which is where Yggdrasil and Midgard and all these things take place. You get Jormungandr, the great serpent. He comes down and he fights Thor for one final battle. They fight to the death, and it's the end of all things. So thank you for watching this presentation. I really enjoyed talking about it, and that's all the creative stories that Norse mythology has to offer. Thank you.